Hello, this is Martin Houston, and it is a final. The Alabama Crimson Tide 49, the Vols 10. What a third Saturday in October if you are for the Crimson and White. Not so much for Vol Nation as Alabama dominates from start to finish. Want to hear from you as we move throughout first response tonight. Want to hear what you think about what was your player of the game. Who is your player of the game? That's probably going to be a runaway vote for Jalen Hurts. But, hey, some of you may want to pick someone else. You may have saw some other things happening there. Also, who was the surprise player of the game? Some different guys stepped up tonight. So let us know what you think about who was the player of the game. Who is your surprise player of the game? And, hey, maybe you can even give me your good, bad, and ugly. What's your good, bad, and ugly from this game? Wasn't really a lot of uglies in this game. Tanya Lynette already throwing in Scarborough. I'm assuming you're calling him out for the surprise player of the game. But this game had so many things go right with it. And we'll start off by giving you some team stats, and then we'll talk about the individual stats. Another dominant performance by the offense last week. Had 517 yards on 51 plays, averaging 10 yards a play. Well, that slacked off just a little bit. Tonight, they only averaged 7.8 yards per play while holding Tennessee to 2.6 per play. But what was interesting about that stat is Alabama actually averaged 7.2 yards on first down. At one point, that was through three quarters. At one point, they had 200 plus yards of their 447 all on first down. So what a dominant performance. First downs, Alabama 28, Tennessee 10. Third down conversion for the second week in a row. Alabama 6 for 12 at 50%. So doing awesome once again. And on the defensive side of the ball, they held Tennessee to 3 for 16. They both went for it on fourth down, 0 for 1 on that. Alabama, listen to this, total yards, 594. 594. Tennessee only 158 total yards. Passing for Alabama, 156 on 17 of 27 and 131 for 18 of 31 for Tennessee. When you look at the rushing yards, the first time since 1992, the University of Alabama goes over 400 yards rushing. And I have to give a shout out to that 1992 team, which I was a member of. Was the last time that Alabama had done that, but that was against Tulane. This was against Tennessee. 438 rushing yards. And you will never beat the Crimson Tide if you only have 27 yards. Tennessee averaged less than 1 yard per carry with 27 yards on 31 attempts, 0.9 yards per attempt, while Alabama averaged 8.9 carries, 438 on 49 carries. Once again, the trend continues. I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but Alabama ranks, I think, somewhere between 125 and 126. There's only 2 or 3 teams that have had fewer penalties called on their opponents. Tonight, that continues. Tennessee only had 1 penalty for 10 yards, and Alabama had 5 for 38. The turnovers, 2 turnovers, we'll talk a little bit about that. In time of possession, Alabama finally flipped it in their favor, 31.33 seconds and 27.37 for Tennessee. Once again, a very, very dominant performance by Alabama as they totally annihilate the Tennessee Volunteers. Let me see if we got a few comments coming in here. Let me check them out, see if we got anything that Roll Tide to Leon Pierce up in Tennessee. I'm sure he's going to have a great time this week as he goes back out, because I'm sure the Tennessee Nation has been talking much noise leading up to this game. Kathy Gentry says, Roll Tide, way to beat Tennessee. They all played great, especially Jalen and Bo. Let me see what else we got. Scarborough said, hand in the face, boom, literally. And Leon Pierce, once again, first time in forever that them Vols didn't have an off week before playing us, and that definitely showed up. Once again, Jalen Hurts had a great time, and Tanya Lynette says, happy 10-year anniversary, Tennessee, talking about the fact that Alabama has beaten them 10 years in a row. Ryan Gunn, Ryan Gunn says, forget this game. Texas A&M is the focus now. Well, Ryan, actually, Coach Saban gives the Alabama team 24 hours to enjoy this one. So most of the players are probably in the locker room right now smoking their victory cigar. So, Ryan, let us enjoy this game, and then we'll turn our focus to Texas A&M by this time tomorrow. Darian Johnson said, I didn't see it coming this way. Barbara Bell said, I think this is the first time Saban didn't say they need to play better. And Darian Johnson has once again said, lighting up the cigarette. Once again, I want to know, what was your play of the game? What was like a game-changing moment you think in that game? Who was your player of the game? Who was your surprise player of the game? And what's your good, bad, and ugly? Let me give you a few of my takeaways that I have. The pass rush for the second week in a row is absolutely amazing. Alabama is getting unbelievable pressure. They started off the game at one point. Tennessee's first 15 plays, seven of them were for negative plays. So almost 50% of the first 15 plays were negative, and that was a trend that continued throughout the game. So several of you saying, let me see, Adam Baxter saying that Eddie Jackson was his player of the game. Steve Easteel said the interception was the player of the game. Darian Johnson said the first defensive touchdown was really a huge play. Ryan Gunn, hey, Eddie Jackson's return was electric. And Tanya Lynette also following up on how about Eddie Jackson. Keep those comments coming in as I continue to move throughout these. But I don't know that you can necessarily say one defensive player was the player of the game. But that pass rush as a whole was absolutely amazing. I said last week that the worst thing that happened to Tennessee was that Arkansas got 400 yards of passing offense last week, and because of those 400 yards, Nick Saban's defense, Jeremy Pruitt, they were going to be on point. Those DBs were locked in today. They were playing great on the ball. Even when the Tennessee guys caught the ball, they were making catches with much pressure on them. And when you look at the pass rush, it was so fast that, and I will give Gary and Vern, I don't like to give them too much credit because I don't like listening to them during the game, but they did point out that a lot of their passes were coming out so fast that because they knew he knew he was going to get hit, and that pass rush made the DBs play even better, but they were also in the right position. One of the things I want to point out, several of you have pointed out, Leon Pierce is one of them, Tanya Lynette, Ryan Gunn, all of you, Darian Johnson, all you guys are saying about Eddie Jackson. But I want to go back to Ronnie Harrison's interception. That point in the game, it was 7-0, and everybody's going to talk about Ronnie Harrison's return, but the play or the difference in the player who made the difference on that play was Reuben Foster. What an unbelievable job. When he came through, he was blitzing, and the center was blocking him, and he saw Jalen Hurd trying to sneak out, and he grabbed his jersey and held him, and that's what allowed the ball to go over his head right into Ronnie Harrison's arms for the pick six. That's something that we won't celebrate in statistics and in the stats, but that was the difference in that play, and that's what makes this team so good. It's because so many guys make plays by playing their role and their responsibility. A couple more takeaways. How many of you, if you were tired of seeing the speed sweep, just raise your hand out there in the social media World Wide Web. I was so tired of seeing the speed sweep because I'm like, why do we keep running it? We're not running anything off of it. Well, we ran 2 plays off of it today, and both of them resulted in big time plays. Ronnie Harrison's first long run was actually off of the speed sweep. They faked the speed sweep and then gave it to Ronnie Harrison coming back underneath. That was a big time play off of that off of the speed sweep. And then we came back with the very next play, I think it was, and we ran the double reverse off of a speed sweep. So hats off, hands clapping for Lane Kiffin. He's been setting that play up all year. He's shown speed sweep, and we as fans, we're tired of it. And I'm like, why does he not run anything off of it? Well, he finally set that up, and what a great job. Those 2 plays were big time off of it. When you look at this game, I've talked about a lot of things. I have to go over to the offensive side of the ball and talk about Jalen Hurts. The young man is absolutely, I know we say this every week, but he's unflappable. And Tanya Lynette here saying Jalen Hurts cannot be shaken. I so agree with that. What happened today? Cam Robinson, I don't know if he's taken his junior year off at times, but he's having a lot of trouble with the way they're doing the snap count. He's getting a lot of false starts, and that one series was really bad. He had a false start, and then he came back, and he allowed his quarterback to get hit in the back, fumble the ball. That was Tennessee's only touchdown of the day off of that, 11 yards for that drive. But Jalen Hurts, did you see what happened? He gets hit in the back, he fumbles, and what does he do? He turns around and comes and drives the team right back down the field for a score, making his longest run of the year, his 45-yard run, immediately following after a big hit in the back. Well, fast forward, we're going in to score. He stumbles, loses his balance. He's trying to throw the ball away, and the defensive player for Tennessee makes a great play, and all of a sudden he's put his team in a bad spot. He makes the tackle, preventing a touchdown, and then he comes back. And even though we didn't get points out of it, he drove the team down the field with 1 minute to go, and we at least got an attempt on a field goal. When you look at his stats for today, he's 16 for 26, 143 yards. Not a great passing game. Had some early passes where he didn't connect, but he was able to later on down in the game hit some key openers. Nice pass, touch pass to Calvin Ridley on the deep cross pattern. And so he's going to keep getting better. That's the scarier part about Jalen Hurts in this passing game. When that comes all the way around, it's going to be really, really tough. Even harder. It's already tough to beat this Alabama team. As far as rushing, he was the leading rusher once again. Think about what this kid has done on the road. He led the team in rushing at Ole Miss. He's now led the team in rushing at Alabama. He had only 12 carries, 132 yards with an 11-yard average. So it was really, really good to see what Jalen was able to do. 3 rush touchdowns, making the right reads. Let me see what else, some other comments we have coming in. I like Tanya Lynette talking about Hurts look into the camera, was kind of making a point, and I love Lee and Vern and Gary saying he was being sarcastic. No, he was just saying I'm the man in his own way. So teams have to understand several players are job interviewing for the next level. That's exactly what they look like. The DBs were very solid today in tackling after catches. I don't know if you heard the stat where the majority of Texas A&M's yards for Tennessee last week came on short passes that they broke. Well, there were no breaking tackles today. Brandon Kidd says Cam needs to step up. I agree. Cam has to start playing better. Brandon Kidd said Lamar Jackson, watch out, Hurts is coming. The freshman contributors on this team is tremendous. I agree with that. You know, one other guy that I have to give a shout out to coming into this game, I had predicted on my radio show, The Morning Blitz, which airs Monday through Friday from 6 to 7 every morning on Top 1029, top1029.com. And by the way, if you're listening right now and you don't have the Radio Pup app, download that Radio Pup app to your smartphone. One of the guys I have to highlight, my surprise player of the game really wasn't a surprise for me. I thought it would happen at some point. Didn't know if it would happen exactly this game, but I saw it beginning to happen a few weeks ago when Bo Scarborough had Cameron Rossi. Shank did not play in this game. Lester Cotton filled in and did a great job, and the Alabama running backs took full advantage of that offensive line blocking today. But this guy 3 weeks ago had 2 or 3 runs called back that were over 10 yards. We're talking about Bo Scarborough. He started to make some moves in that game, and then last week he made the touchdown run, and then today he got the start. And I believe Nick Saban knows what he's doing. Nick Saban rewarded Bo Scarborough for the work he's been doing at practice and the work he's been doing in the game. He gave him the start. And the reason I say I know that he knows what he's doing, he gave him the start, and he did a few plays, and then he didn't play for a while, and then he brought him back. I made the prediction this week on the Morning Blitz that by the end of this year, Bo Scarborough will be that dominant running back that we need to close out games because he's big, he's fast, he's powerful, and I look for him to increase his role as the season goes along, and I don't see that changing. I look at him as a player who's gaining confidence, trusting his legs, and his blocking is getting better and better. So look for Alabama to have a really a three-headed monster with Scarborough, Jacobs, and Harris, as all three can tote the mail at a high level. The offensive line deserves a shout out. Anytime a team is averaging the number of yards, 8.9 yards per carry, then that has to do with the offensive line, not just the running backs who's carrying it. So great offensive line play today. Just a couple more things that I want to point out. As you watched your quarterback, how did you feel when you saw him out front leading the way? On Ardarius Stewart touchdown. What a great block by Jalen Hurts. The guy is the complete package, and the rest of the nation needs to really, really pay attention. My play of the game, I think it's hard to pick just one play of the game, but I'm going to call my play of the game the drive of the game. And it was the drive that Jalen Hurts led that took the score to 21 to 7. And in that drive was his 45-yard run. To me, that response, Nick Saban said last week or the week before, good teams, when a team scores on you, good teams turn around and go back down and score. And that's exactly what Alabama did, 14-7. Then Tennessee kicks off, Alabama goes down and makes the score 21-7. So that was kind of my play of the game / drive of the game. My player of the game as a whole, I have to give it to Jalen Hurts just because of his composure. But some honorable mention guys is Tim Williams on the defense, along with all of his cohorts in terms of the pass rush that the front seven was able to get. Reuben Foster played an absolute great game. There's so many big-time players on that defense that it's hard to pick one. But overall, I think that they were just disruptive to the Tennessee passing game. And then what was my good, bad, and ugly? I don't know that I necessarily had an ugly for Alabama, other than I would have to give Cam Robinson on that one drive. I'd have to give him the ugly because he allowed his quarterback to get hit in the back coming off of a penalty. So big time there. And I forgot to give a shout out to Eddie Jackson once again for the job he did on his kickoff return. So he's an honorable mention for player of the game as well. The bad overall is just when we get away from what we do good. At one point in the game, we were running the ball, and then when we had the ball at the 12-yard line, I think sometimes Lane just gets cute on his play calling, and that turnover that was down at the end of the goal line right before the half, I think that had he continued to run the ball, we would have scored there and would have been even more of a blowout. And then I give Brandon Kidd a shout. He corrected me on something there. Not corrected me, but pointed out our kickoff coverage and our punt return coverage today was as bad as it's been all year. We'll have to true that up, clean that up for next week. So I would give kickoff coverage on both kickoffs and kick coverage, both kickoff and punt coverage was not up to Alabama standards. So good shout out right there, Brandon Kidd, on that. The good was the overall team. This is the first time I think we've seen Alabama play a 4-quarter game. That's what Nick Saban has been asking for, looking for, and searching for. And the reality of it is this could have very easily have been a 49 to 3 score, because if you take away their turnover and Alabama's turnover in terms of Ronnie Harrison and their turnover in terms of Barnett, then take those 7 points off the board. We still score at the end of the game when we were just trying to run out the clock and going forward on 4th down with all our backups. So we easily could have gotten more points than what we got had we continued to play at a high level. So overall, the team game was great. And then the good, as you've heard me point out a couple different times, is the front line play on both sides of the ball, where the ball game is won in the trenches. Alabama moves to 7-0, 19 games in a row. I think this is 17 or 18 in a row over the East, and they continue their streak over Tennessee with 10-0. And I don't know if you heard the stats earlier. Through the first 9 games, Tennessee had led. In the first 9 games of Nick Saban's career, there have been 540 minutes of play. And Tennessee had led for 17 minutes and 49 seconds. Now there's been 600 minutes of play under Nick Saban versus Tennessee. 600 minutes, Tennessee has led for 17 minutes and 49 seconds. Once again, going into this game, Alabama under Nick Saban had scored as many 40-point games as Tennessee has in the entire series. Well, we added another 40-point game to this third Saturday in October. And also, last but not least, the average margin of victory has been 3 touchdowns. Well, I think we surpassed that once again. And so what a dominant performance for Alabama. I want to remind you that First Response airs on the Top 1029 fan page. Tell your family and friends that we're here immediately following the game, giving you a chance to respond, react, and review what Alabama did. And then this video goes up and it stays up all week on the Top 1029 fan page. So if anybody just joined, want to go back and watch it, then you can always do that. Hey, and also continue to post who your players of the game, etc., who your surprise player of the game or your player of the game, and your good, bad, and ugly right here. As we get ready to close out this show, want to do 2 quick things. One is look for Alabama to continue their winning ways against Texas A&M. Going to be excited to be back against A&M, playing them. It looks like it's going to be 2 undefeated teams. It's going at it, and 2 probably potentially top 5 teams, or at least top 6 teams. So Alabama once again playing a top 10 team, and look for Alabama's offense to do exactly what they did against Tennessee and against Arkansas. I'm looking for the 3rd game in a row for 500-plus yards for Alabama as they go into Texas A&M. Everybody keeps saying that Texas A&M defense is better. Well, let me give you a stat. 684, 158. Last week, Tennessee had 684 yards after they had 7 turnovers against a Texas A&M team that's supposed to be a good defense. They had 1 turnover today, and they had 158 total yards against Alabama. I don't think A&M is ready to play big boy ball once again with Alabama. But for you to find out more about how we feel about the A&M Aggies and Alabama matchup next week, make sure you tune in to Tide 1029, Tide1029.com. We have it's your home for Alabama sports. We go from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. each and every day. I kick the morning off with the Morning Blitz on Tide 1029, Tide1029.com. Tell your family and friends about what we have going on here and what we have going on the station. And if you want to keep up with what I have going on in some of my posts, follow at the Blitz 1029, at the Blitz 1029. Once again, this is Martin Houston, host of the Morning Blitz on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 1029, Tide1029.com. This has been the first response for the Alabama Crimson Tide on the third Saturday in October 2016. The Alabama Crimson Tide stays undefeated, stays the #1 team in the country, probably moved even farther ahead in that voting, 49-10, total dominance, giving up only 158 yards while coming up with a total of 594 yards, 6 yards short of the 600-yard mark. Just a couple closing comments that you have that I'll share with you as we go off the air here. Brandon Ritchie said Jalen Hurts is a real deal. We have to get ready for the Aggies now. Roll Tide. Ryan Gunn says his players of the game was Lester Cotton and Jonah Williams. They did a great job. Brandon Ritchie, player of the game, Jalen Hurts, and the whole defense. And last but not least, Cameron Rossi says thanks for doing the show. Well, thank you for tuning in each and every week. I have a blast doing it and glad to keep you updated. Once again, follow at the Blitz 1029 to keep up with what I have going on the Morning Blitz. For Tide 1029 First Response Postgame Show with Martin Houston signing off, and see you next week immediately following the Texas A&M Aggies 49-10 Alabama rolls on the third Saturday in October.